big thumbs down. Sorry if you're in the corn dog market, people, but I'm not. Buford Sports Network does not endorse corn dogs.
We're talking NFL free agency starting March 13th. Taking our 1.0 take at NFL free agents and where they're potentially going to land. We're looking at wide receivers today and really looking down the list. You have some pretty interesting wide receivers that are coming on. And we got to start with T. Higgins as probably the number one wide receiver free agent going into this year. Having an interesting on and off year, a little bit of injury issues with him this year with Cincinnati, but a dynamic wide receiver that really could be a number one in any other organization. Also, you have the likes of Michael Pittman from the Indianapolis Colts, who will be a free agent. And then the final one I'll give you on just the top three in my picks is Mike Evans from Tampa Bay, also becomes a free agent at the end of this year. Mike, out of those top three picks, do you see them landing at anywhere of significance, and will they make an impact next year?
It's hard to say, Dirk. I think, some interesting destinations that come to mind, again, not knowing the cap numbers off the top of my head, but it would be interesting if Jordan Love had another target to throw to in Green Bay. You've got Watson out there, but it feels like they really could use a more complete receiving core going after a big receiver. Might be something interesting. Of course, the Bears are another team in that division that need help in any capacity in the passing game. So Chicago is another interesting one. I don't know. What are you thinking on these?
Yeah, out of those two, Cincinnati has about $60 million of cap space, so they have the ability to retain Higgins if they want to. Now, based off of some of the, ongoing issues that were in that locker room this year, whether Higgins stays or not is going to be an interesting question, or if they just go ahead and look towards the draft for some wide receiver help. Jamar Chase is absolutely number one, and you still have Tyler Boyd, who also will be a free agent this year, who's not a bad number three receiver. So, it'll be interesting to see how they fill that in Cincinnati. But if T. Higgins were to go somewhere, interestingly enough, I do think that the New York Jets is a pretty legitimate option. Sitting alongside some of the other receivers there and looking at old Green Bay receivers there, I think that's an option. The other one is the Indianapolis Colts likely retain Pittman. I don't see why they would move on, especially after him just really leading that offense this year outside of Gardner Minshew. Pittman was absolutely the heart and soul of that offense this year, in my opinion, and I don't see why they wouldn't with as much cap space as the Colts have, right? But the one that I do see that's going to have to move on, I don't see a situation where Mike Evans is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next year, and I don't see a situation where he stays in that division. I think that he's going to be moved elsewhere, and you're going to see a lot of teams vying for Mike Evans.
What about Mike Evans moving across the peninsula? He just slides over the peninsula into Duval County, and he goes to the Jaguars.
Well, the Jaguars have $17 million of cap space to work with. Will they use all 17 on Mike Evans, and will that be enough to capture?
Oh, you've got Trevor Lawrence on the rookie contract for just a little bit more. So, yeah.
Mike, the interesting one with Mike Evans, I could see a situation where with $23 million of cap space, the Kansas City Chiefs need help at wide receiver. The Kadarius Toney awards, like you said it, and we keep harping on it. Mike, that was a great line for him a couple weeks back, but I don't see the likes of Kadarius Toney staying, especially with some of the antics and the questionable injuries that happened this past week with Kansas City. I see them bringing in some talent at wide receiver. Letting Juju Smith-Schuster go last year, I thought was an interesting move by them. So I think that that's a wild card pick for where you could see him land. Some other wild cards just of notable other free agents that are in the market this year. Calvin Ridley from the Jaguars will be a free agent. Do you think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will retain him?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? I don't know if Ridley was quite as productive as they'd hoped. And so it's kind of like you've got this veteran Evans who keeps on putting in big numbers for Tampa Bay year after year. I see Jacksonville really needing to get Lawrence another target. I mean, they've got to take advantage of Lawrence on that rookie contract while they can. It's a window to win. Jacksonville needs to spend and bring in some help. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do in that. But they do need another legit target, I think.
One thing to note with the Jaguars, Mike, is that the likes of their edge rusher, the other Josh Allen, will be a free agent. Yeah, he'll be a free agent this year as well. So it's something to note. Talking about the other Josh Allen, though, Gabe Davis is a free agent this year. Looking at we'll talk a whole segment on the Buffalo Bills, but I do see that you're going to see some shakeup over in the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if they'll keep Diggs. I find it hard to see how they keep Diggs without restructuring Josh Allen's contract and potentially even Diggs' contract itself. We've talked about that before, but Gabe Davis, potentially movement with Diggs as well. I mean, with the way that Shakir was playing at the end of the season, I don't see them keeping Gabe Davis, so he'll also be on the market. But that is wide receivers. Anything else, Mike?
Someone is going to bring T.O. out of retirement.